Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we have some fun stuff to talk about, and by fun, I mean crazy financial news. Now, I usually try to go make these videos a little more on the informative side, but also still a little bit on the entertaining side, so hopefully they're still okay. But right now, we had Sony come out with their big shareholder information, and there is a lot that came out. So we may have a few videos like this, and I think we also even have a PlayStation 6 video for this weekend. But when it comes to this news, right now, apparently Sony is not losing a bunch of money. Thank God. And of course, they kind of could probably keep the prices down on the PlayStation 5. The longevity of the console seems amazing, and a lot of cool news such as them reaching over 80 million sales on the console. They're changing production lines, a lot of big stuff. So let's go do a deep dive into it, because I love to talk about finances and this type of stuff. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, or just give me some random comment down below about how your day is and what your favorite color is. I don't know, in this day and age on YouTube, I'm just kind of here. So first and foremost, I do want to go and give a big congratulations over here on the PlayStation side, because PlayStation now has confirmed hit over 80 million shipments. So right now, between the last few months, there's 2.5 million PlayStation 5 units that have been shipped on out, and as well, like I said, 80 million is ridiculous, and it probably is the time to kind of segue off the PlayStation 4. We made a video on that earlier on this week, so if you missed it, we're kind of getting back in the swing of things slowly. We're still on break, technically, on YouTube. But when it comes to that, 80 million units is insane, and that means that 100 million is way closer than we will think. Now, there was around 5 years in this life cycle, and in comparison, we still have not even seen Xbox breaking the 30 million, both in the Xbox Series X and S, which is still good. If I had a company and I had sold 30 million consoles, handhelds, whatever, I'd consider that a win. But nowadays, I'm sure if you compare this to the Switch 2, Switch 1, PS4, PS5, it's not the best. But either way, Sony has announced now this Thursday that it has shipped 80.3 million units of the PlayStation 5 as well, and that ended on June 30th. The company shipped 2.5 million, as we mentioned, units throughout that nice little cycle, and has surpassed 50 million as of December 2023. And of course, it launched everywhere. They had the PS5 Pro on top of that, so everything's doing right. Although there was a few price increases. The price of some PS5 consoles in select markets in Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Australia, and New Zealand earlier this year. The price of the PS5 Pro in these regions have not changed, but they basically suggested that you should increase the prices in various places, such as even Japan earlier too as well. And this is why people are concerned, because they're saying severe external conditions, tariffs, including recent changes in global economic situations. Tariffs as their reason for price changes. Tariffs, they have affected a lot of companies. We can't really beat around the bush. But one big thing to note is on two things, actually. Number one over here, this is like that saving grace, where Sony CFO throughout these meetings said that they had already moved production of the PS5 consoles sold in the US to outside of China to combat tariffs. So basically, if you were to go and make it and ship it from China, you'd have a very large tariff. Although the Chinese and American tariffs have not been finalized yet, right now there's still like a 90-day delay, while other countries may have actually even had some of their tariffs increased over time, which is not good. Like, people in their political spectrum can kind of go either ways. But they planned also to move production to peripherals sold in the United States to outside of China by also the end of next month. So they kind of did a little business maneuver. They saw the writing on the wall. They moved regions, and now ideally they're going to make money. And also, this is kind of like Trump's big idea, is they want to move a lot of production to America. We've already seen things like Apple, Nvidia, and other various big companies and semiconductor fabs, I believe they're called, facilities, move to America on increased production here, and they basically have zero tariffs, and that's why Apple and Nvidia have been kind of going on another additional run. But of course, due to Nvidia being the #1 company in the entire planet, their semiconductor, well, that's not really semiconductor, more so their GPU units are now able to be sold in China. I believe that was actually news as of today. These guys are also in the stocks life, whatever. I love that stuff, so whatever. So they're saying, so about gaming consoles, we're already diversifying our supply chain. As for consoles, we've already transferred the production. And if we include peripherals, so the transfer to outside of China, we'll be completing that by the end of the first half. Hardware sold in the United States are now sourced outside of China. And this is overall good for Sony, because they're not getting hit by these massive tariffs, and a lot of prices are kind of all over the place too as well. And this kind of goes into the big picture here, which we're kind of leading up to. Sony raises its profit forecast after saying it expects less damage from Trump's tariffs. So this is basically them trying to mitigate all these other consoles to different regions to then resell them into America, which is a really big profit driver. America is probably the #1 market, I would say, right now for the PlayStation consoles and probably most consoles overall. Japan, China, just due to their size and also the locale, are probably really big. But also a lot of people were concerned on the PlayStation 5 pricing, both the Pro, both the PS5. And this was like the news. Look at this, May 14th. There is articles everywhere. There is news everywhere. And even I said in those videos, there will probably be a little bit of a shakeup, but we'll most likely not see price increases. Or if it is, it'd be long term. I think I was actually right on that call. Now, do we still think that tariffs were the right decision at the end all be all? Not 100% sure, to be fully honest. But we'll see in the next few months, and there's been some good and some bad. Like, I'm very neutral on politics. I'm sure you guys can agree. But yeah, even my stock portfolio, crypto portfolio has been all over the place, but everything has been bouncing back. And what we have to see, we're gonna have to see if inflation is also affected by this too as well, or if the Fed also cutting rates also affect it. It's a lot of political stuff, a lot of moving parts. It's one of those things we'll know in a few years based on like hindsight. But regardless, the PS5 itself, people were concerned about this, expecting the PS5 Pro to go over $1,000, for the PS5 itself to go up in price. And it does seem like Xbox kind of did. Xbox preemptively did this. They never really wanted to keep using the Xbox console, it seems like at this point. And they're like, whatever, we'll bump it up $100. If we get even less sales, probably good for us. Buy Game Pass, buy the games on PlayStation, we don't care. Which is why a lot of Xbox users have been upset and why we've discussed it on the channel. But yeah, dude, people were assuming this was going to be rough. They were assuming it was going to go impact its business, costing around 100 billion yen, around $680 million. Notice this number. During the call, Sony CFO Lin Tao said that the company is mulling passing on the taxes from President Trump's tariffs to consumers, basically preemptively saying, hey, we might have to raise prices. But ever since then, we've actually seen the PlayStation 5 go on sale. Right now, in many various regions, the price is still the lowest priced console anywhere. Like, it's insane. Well, at least for the value you go and get. The Nintendo Switch can be kind of 50-50. But either way, when it comes to this stuff, they've had a very consistent cheaper price point with bundles, even in the EU especially, and a brand new summer sale that's ongoing as of these last even few days. So Sony actually raised its profit forecast, saying it expects less damage from Trump's tariffs, which was great. Basically going and assuming that due to the fact that they're offshoring all these productions away from China to go and then ship it to America, they can have like a little bit of a freedom pass, They have a little bit of a vibe. They can have a little bit more money. And they said this all in their shareholder meeting. And the Japanese entertainment electronics company Sony said Thursday that its profits surged 23% in the last quarter from the year before, as damage from the United States President Donald Trump tariff was less than it actually had expected. Now, it's still up in the air. Like, we don't have the Chinese tariffs fully done as of yet. So the Tokyo-based manufacturer reported its April and June profit totaled 259 billion yen, or $1.8 billion, actually up from 210 billion yen. Quarterly sales edged from 2% to 2.6 trillion yen, around 17.7 billion, as demand grew for games and network services, imagining solutions and sensors. It's actually kind of surprising, though, because there hasn't been any major, like, AAA game that's come out. Death Stranding, of course, and a few others, but nothing big. Like, we're still waiting for Ghost of Yotai, and we'll see how that kind of goes for, software sales. But it's also intriguing, too, because we've been seeing Square Enix just did their own shareholder report, and that actually had a big, massive drop on, well, their money. They weren't really making money on the Xbox sales, and it might be a big mistake that they even spend all that time and resources, and they also have to expand out their IPs. That's a subject for a different video. Subscribe if you guys want to see it. So the maker of PlayStation game machines, digital cameras, Walkman audio players, callback, and Spider-Man movies said that these positive factors offset the negative impact of unfavorable exchange rates. So also don't forget too, the USD has also been dropping quite a bit in comparison to even the euro. So it is somewhat weakening as we've had all these tariff uncertainties and high exchange rates and also the looming debt crisis. So Sony raised its forecast for its profit in the fiscal year until March of 2026 to 970 billion yen. from an earlier forecast of only 930 billion yen. So they're now saying we're going to probably make $6.6 billion instead of only 6.3 because the tariff situation was not as bad. They were able to go mitigate the vibe or whatever, and they still have a lot of these consoles still on sale, and they are still trying to probably focus more on software sales, and will most likely have a lot more, ideally, hopefully, AAA games coming out in the next year or so, and especially Ghost of Yotai. Hopefully that'll be a big console seller, especially in the fact that we saw Ghost of Tsushima do so well. So Sony now estimates the impact of the additional US tariffs on its operating income at 70 billion yen, so around $476 million is what they're expecting based on the current information. May be subject to change, and is also way better than the initial kind of like first punch in the face, slap in the face of $680 million. So great to go and kind of see because, well, PlayStation's doing well. They can keep the cost of the consoles down. The Pro won't be getting a price increase, most likely, and everything seems to be going pretty well. So subscribe if you guys are new and enjoy this. We'll have a lot more information as we can get it, and I appreciate you all so much for watching here in the first place.